Support for this podcast comes from the St. Alphonsus Neuroscience Institute, offering technology to provide treatment for neurological, neurosurgical, and neurointerventional conditions. This includes a dedicated neurotrauma ICU for critical care of the brain or spine and a 24/7 stroke team. More at stalphonsus.org.
Boise State Public Radio News celebrates the Winter Olympiad in Milan Cortina. There are 232 U.S. Olympians this year competing in 116 events across 16 different sports. NPR is covering the games in Italy and giving context to the world event now through February 22nd. Learn more about what's new this year and follow Team USA with NPR's 2026 Winter Olympics coverage at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho's daily news. Good morning. I'm George Prentice. They're talking housing again over at Boise City Hall, and the question, just how many homes could be built in the city? Plus, there's a proposal that would allow people to carry guns into Idaho courthouses. It is Wednesday, the 11th of February. Here we go with today's stories. Idaho citizens plus the ACLU are suing ICE, the FBI, the Canyon County Sheriff, and the Caldwell Police Department. The lawsuit accuses the agencies of conspiring against Idahoans because of the color of their skin. Julie Lucatar reports.
In October, around 200 agents descended upon a family event in Wilder. The FBI initially reported it was serving a warrant involving 5 individuals at a horse track. About 400 people were detained for several hours, many of whom were U.S. citizens, including children. 105 undocumented people were then taken into custody. In a press conference Tuesday, ACLU Director Leo Morales said he was disturbed by the physical and psychological harm caused by the raid.
When children are zip-tied and screamed at, when constitutional protections are brushed aside, the harm extends far beyond that day. It reaches every community that wonders whether they might be next.
The plaintiffs accuse the agencies of violating Idahoans' constitutional rights. The lawsuit describes scenes of chaos, with heavily militarized masked agents racially profiling attendees to wrongly assume their immigration status.
Armored vehicles, helicopter, weapons drawn. This wasn't about public safety. It was about intimidation and arresting as many people as possible.
The class action suit says the plaintiffs suffered bodily injury, emotional distress, and economic loss, and it asks for damages to be determined at trial. Julie Luqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
County courthouses across Idaho would have to allow people to carry concealed weapons in certain areas of courthouses, that under a new bill introduced yesterday. James Dawson explains.
Most courthouses in Idaho are multi-purpose, meaning they often house county offices where people pay taxes, fines, or meet with county commissioners. The bill from Republican Representative Brandon Mitchell would require counties to allow people to carry concealed weapons in those parts of the buildings.
We put in protections for the courtrooms, so they're still blocked in the courtrooms, as well as any places, any holding or jail that houses prisoners or any person that's under trial.
Republican Representative Stephanie Mickelson says changing these rules could be expensive for counties that might have to relocate their security checkpoints that include metal detectors and bag scanners.
It becomes a big problem as far as costs on counties right now that are trying to barely get by with their budgets.
A House committee unanimously introduced the bill, which still needs a public hearing before it could reach the floor. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
Housing, or sometimes the lack thereof, remains a hot topic of conversation across the region. At Boise City Hall late yesterday, city officials were briefed on the city's capacity for housing. Given the space of the city and the city's area of impact, just how many homes could be built?
Study estimates that we have capacity for about 162,000 additional housing units across 15,000 parcels.
That's Deanna Dupuis from the city's Planning and Development Services. So the city's capacity is something like 162,000 units, while forecasts are looking at a need for about 43,000 new households expected just over the next 25 years. So Boise has the capacity, but creating neighborhoods That's a big lift.
In other words, inside the city, growth is fragmented across many smaller properties. Outside the city, it's concentrated on fewer, larger sites that are often easier to activate in the short run. But an important distinction here is infrastructure. Within the city, most of the sites already have roads, sewer, fire, parks, and transit in place. That infrastructure has been built and paid out over decades. At the urban edge, infrastructure does not yet exist.
Yep, at the so-called urban edge. Land, but no infrastructure. Yet. One big takeaway, 3 familiar words that are used time and again. Need for partnerships. Copper Quill Haven has withdrawn from contract negotiations with Canyon County, Nampa, and Caldwell, and will no longer be in charge of their animal shelter services. The organization was set to take over from West Valley Humane Society this week. Julie Lucatau reports.
In a statement released Monday on social media, Copper Quill Haven said the organization was, quote, pressured into an accelerated timeline that did not align with responsible, humane, or operationally sound sheltering practices, end quote. This, they say, included opening without certain types of equipment necessary for the care of animals. Last June, West Valley Humane Society said it had been undercharging for its services and asked for $500,000 to stay afloat. In December, Canyon County, Nampa, and Caldwell selected Copper Quill Haven as a replacement for West Valley Humane Society following a bidding process. In a statement Monday, representatives for the county and the 2 cities said they were prepared this week to, quote, accept the key terms proposed by CQH and advance the contract before the organization withdrew. The county has not responded to a request for further comment. West Valley Humane Society has been operating animal shelter services for the area since 2011. They are set to vacate their facility, located in Caldwell, by Friday. Julie Lucatau, Boise State Public Radio News.
And that is today's episode of The Connector. I'm George Prentice. Say there is so much going on over the Capitol, and you need to know what's going on. So why not subscribe to our Legislative Roundup newsletter? It shows up in your inbox every Monday. Check it out. You can subscribe at boisestatespublicradio.org. As for me, I'll see you back here tomorrow or today. Thanks for listening.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.